pot to put the hot dogs in. AJ lumbered into the kitchen. Hot dogs and pizza. Nice. Are you eating here? Jax complained. They'd be out of food again by this evening. Pendare's not supposed to let me starve. We have an agreement. You don't look like you're starving, Crandall. Riley held out his hand and AJ produced a 20, which Riley stuffed into a flour jar on the counter. The kitty, Riley called it, both because it was where he kept the household cash and because it was shaped like a cat. AJ located a lone soda in the refrigerator. This isn't cold, he complained. Fridge is threatening to quit again. Riley dumped the entire package of hot dogs into a pot of water and turned up the gas flame. Then he thumped soundly on the side of the old Kenmore. Some mechanic you are, Jax muttered. Riley pushed his hair out of his eyes. Refrigerator's not the same as a car, Jax. AJ snorted. Just call you-know-who to come fix it. Every time I call her, she wants a favor in return. Poor you. Was she calling in a favor from me? Jax didn't know who they were talking about, and he didn't care. When AJ reached for the last grocery bag, Jax snatched it away. That one's not for you. He looked at Riley. Save me some food? Well, sure, said Riley, as if he hadn't eaten everything Jax brought home on other occasions. With a worried glance at the stove timer, Jax carried the bag out the front door and down the sidewalk to the house of his elderly next-door neighbor. As usual, Mrs. Unger met him with her wallet. What do I owe you, Jackson? She held up cash like she had to prove she had the money. I'll check the receipt. He put away her groceries while she followed him around the kitchen with her cane. Sorry I didn't buy any eggs, he said, checking the contents of her fridge. I thought the dozen I bought last time would have lasted longer. The eggs are all gone? Mrs. Unger pushed up her glasses. I didn't eat them. Sure you didn't. Guess it was that ghost of yours again, he said cheerfully. Oh! She exclaimed as if he'd reminded her. I found my library card on the kitchen table. It must be time to exchange the books. I'll do it this weekend. You want more like these? Whatever these books are, get more of them. Mrs. Unger waved her hand at a stack of books on the counter. I don't read them, you know. Of course, Mrs. Unger didn't read romance novels. She borrowed them for her ghost, the one who stole her eggs, moved the spices in her cabinet, and rearranged things in her closet. Getting old and senile must be hard. Jax checked the receipt. $24.79. Here's 30. When he protested, she said, Take 30. You saved me a trip. Thanks. He folded the 3 tens into his back pocket. She kissed him on the cheek, and he groaned theatrically, even though he didn't mind. Anything else you need? He eyed her kitchen clock. The pizza would be about done. He needed to get back before AJ ate it all. Yard work? Pulling weeds? Mrs. Unger smiled. I don't have any weeds. Jax took a look for himself when he ran back to his own house. Mrs. Unger had perfectly tended flower beds. He wondered how she managed it with her eyesight and her cane. The built-in flower beds along the side of Riley's house were nothing but hard-baked dirt, tough as concrete. Not even weeds grew there. His timing, for once, was perfect. Riley was just scraping the pizza off the rack with the cardboard box it came in, and Jax scored a couple slices and a hot dog. Riley kicked a chair away from the kitchen table, which was his version of an invitation to sit down. How's everything at the old lady's house? He asked. Fine, said Jax, walking past the chair and out of the kitchen with his plate. He wasn't going to stick around to eat with Riley and AJ. His bedroom was dark and cramped, with only one window. A wallpaper border circled the room, patterned with hound dogs wearing Confederate flag bandanas. When Jax had moved in, Riley said the place had come that way when he rented it. Change anything you want, he'd suggested. But Jax hadn't put any effort into redecorating his room because he wasn't staying long. That's what he'd thought 4 months ago, anyway. He flung himself onto the bed and rested the paper plate on his stomach. At first, he stared at the ceiling while he chewed, but eventually his gaze wandered around the room. The trombone he'd given up playing was still propped against the wall. Nearby was the telescope he'd gotten last year and lost interest in after one use. His dad had complained.